Welcome to the Cork Creative Podcast. With this podcast, we hope to promote local creative businesses and people. I am your host, Geraldine Hennessy, and today, Maura O'Connell from West Cork Casting Studio joins me at Brook Park Business Centre in Dunmanway. Looking for a quieter, slower pace of life, Maura relocated with her family to West Cork from the city just over 12 years ago. On a career break from an adult guidance counselling role, she was on the lookout for a creative outlet and found life casting. She spent several years teaching herself this new craft and honing her skills before setting up her business. She offers a unique life casting and now bespoke jewellery service. In this episode, she explains her journey from social science graduate to producer of personal keepsake and memorial jewellery, the highly emotive element of her work, the touching stories that make her work so special, overcoming her periods of procrastination and self-doubt, and learning to take it easy on herself. So you're very welcome to Cork Creative, Maura. Can you explain to us the different things you do, I suppose?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose my business is called West Cork Casting Studio, and casting, mould making and casting is what I do. But really the essence of what I do is about family. It's about connections. It's about memories and about memory making, really. And I do that in a couple of ways. I started off life casting, where I would make a mould over, generally it's hands, people's hands. I specialise in family groups, so family connections. And I think in a family, we're as familiar with hands as faces. So if you see the hands of a loved one, particularly older people like your parents, maybe your grandparents, I think they bring very special memories. Like I had 3 grandparents alive until I was about 30. And I could still picture all of their hands, especially my nan, because she lived near me. And if I'm thinking of my nan's hands, we're in her kitchen and we're making apple tarts, and I can smell cinnamon because she has put cinnamon and cloves in her apple tart. So I think hands are very special. So that I do groups of hands. And then from 2020, when we had lockdown, I couldn't do any face-to-face work. And then I was able to introduce a new product, still in the same ballpark, still all about family and about connections. And that was silver fingerprint jewellery. And obviously fingerprints are unique to each of us. So if you're wearing a piece of jewellery that has the fingerprint of a loved one, maybe a child or a parent or your partner or whoever, that's a very special piece to have and to wear. And it's, it's just an emotional piece, and it keeps that connection and holds those memories for you.
Okay. And have you always been creative, or how did you get into this type of work?
Yeah, I guess, I've always been creative, but I never knew how I could earn an income from it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like I remember I did art for junior cert. I think actually it might have been inter-cert. It might have been the last year of inter-cert. But I did art, and my art teacher wanted me to keep it on for leaving cert. So I obviously had some kind of skill or talent that she saw. But I can remember at the time thinking, like, how the hell would you make an income? How would you earn money? The only thing I knew about artists was drinking absinthe in an attic in Paris, I was like, the idea is romantic, but I need to earn some money. I need to have an income. And so I was always creative. So I didn't actually go that route. I went to college and I did social science. And then after that qualified in adult guidance counselling. So it was all about people. And then I came out on a career break, maternity leave first. And then I was able to take a 5-year career break. And in the meantime, a second baby arrived and we'd moved to West Cork. And the thought of commuting back up and down the road to Cork City with 2 smallies at home, just thought, no, life's too short. Have a look around and see. And literally just scrolling on my phone one day, I saw a Facebook video of a family group getting their hands cast. And that was it. It was literally light bulb, saw it and thought, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. And spent a couple of years then trial and error at home, teaching myself, grabbing any hand that passed, basically, and cast them. So that's where that started.
Gosh,
Yeah, and I get, what really made me realise that, I loved the family groups, and my 2 girls were quite small at the time. And I loved the idea of them growing up and in, maybe 30 or 40 years' time, and they looking at their small little hands from when they were kids. And that's a very sweet idea, And then my sister-in-law, sure, she knew what I was doing, and she asked me if I would cast her granddad's hands, and immediately it hit my stomach, and I thought, oh my God, these are very emotional pieces actually, because he's not going to be here in 30 or 40 years time to see his hand, but the rest of his family will. And that's, you know, I mean, that's exactly what he was 95 when we cast his hands with my little niece who was only 5.
Oh gosh.
Oh, it's the most beautiful piece, and gorgeous. Like, old hands are so beautiful because they've so much detail, and they tell stories. They really do. I mean, then I realised, oh my, these are very emotional pieces. They're not just a little bit of fun for the family. They're a bit more than that.
That's it, So, like, as you were just saying, your jewellery and your pieces are deeply personal. Do you feel your role extends beyond that of a standard craft producer?
Yeah, I do really, because I don't think of myself as a jeweller necessarily. I'm working with silver and I'm making jewellery pieces, but I mean, you couldn't set me down the high street as a jeweller, really, you know. It's the emotional content, and particularly during lockdown, because that's when I started doing them. Some of the pieces I did were deeply emotional. Like, I had a lovely job for this lady who lives in West Cork. Her father was dying during COVID, and her dad was dying, and her brother was living abroad and couldn't get back to see Dad. So she was able to take Dad's fingerprint. I made a kind of a bracelet with a leather strap with his dad's fingerprint on it.
Gosh.
And I mean, the feedback there was just so big. I mean, just the fact that he had something he could hold. His dad's print, there's a bit of texture in the silver, so you can feel something. And like I say, a fingerprint is unique. Only his dad could have made that print, and it was just a huge comfort for him to have something that was so personal and so connected to his dad. There's been a couple of pieces now like that where I was able to make jewellery for people who've passed away. Sometimes in hospitals they'll take handprints or footprints for the family as a keepsake, and I'm able to use those to create jewellery. They're very, very personal. During lockdown, and because of a customer request, I was able to introduce ashes into the jewellery, which is, you know, just the very fact that they're contained within the silver. It's not actually, it's sometimes, because you can buy little silver, I suppose they're like little receptacles where you can place the ashes in it. Whereas in mine, I'm incorporating it into the silver. It's actually encased inside it. So it's, you know, you can't lose it. You can't lose it, they can't fall out kind of thing. So I think the work that I do, it's a bit beyond just jewellery making. It's creating an essence, I think, or kind of a presence or a feeling or an emotion, but in a tangible way.
And do you feel like your background in social science has helped you with that?
I think it has actually. I kind of think I'm uniquely placed in some way, in that my background is all about people. So I've always been interested in people. I've always been interested in the stories. And in the work I did, I was always interested in helping people move on to something different. And, you know, I can sit with people. I can hear people's stories. And particularly when you're working in adult guidance, adults come with a lot of baggage. So there was a good bit of counselling work in that. So I can sit with the hard stuff. And particularly when I'm doing a lot of memorial stuff, some such sad stories where, you know, you've terminally ill little children and then go and making casts for the parents, terminally ill parents. They're so emotional, and they're so sad stories, and they're such sad situation. Not everyone can go and sit with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everyone can be comfortable with that. And it's, you know, I think I've been trained to be empathetic, really, and how to hold my own, empathise with the people I'm dealing with, and provide something that's so valuable to them. I suppose that's the focus. Their situation is their situation. I cannot change that. But what I can do is give them something they can hold that might help some bit in a healing process, particularly when it's memorial pieces.
I suppose, like, you're perfectly placed, really, aren't you? Like, for, you know, to deal with the kind of tougher situations that, you know. And you really are, after finding, I suppose, a niche for yourself.
I think so. And you know, the irony is that I was working in adult guidance, not really knowing what I wanted to do myself, knowing I wanted to work with people, and I suppose guidance counselling is a way to do that. But there's no chance I could have done this work in my 20s.
Yes,
There's no way. I mean, there's no way somebody could have opened a guidance counselling book and say, there's the job for you, you should go and do that. My whole life path and experience and all the rest has led to this, really. And it's
quite remarkable.
It is quite, and I kind of sometimes sitting there going, am I really doing this? Like, is this my work? And I get such a buzz from it, even, kind of a couple of years after I started, I can remember finishing one job and coming back and just really buzzing, and my husband going, well, I never saw you like that coming home from another job.
I know. That's it.
It's like, this is what I should be doing.
You are doing what you're meant to be kind of doing.
I feel really grounded in what I'm doing. Good. I do feel solid about it.
So though, I suppose the types of projects that interest you most, they're those kind of memorial pieces, are they?
They're the ones I guess I would get. I don't know. You see, it's hard to put words when you're talking about memorial stuff. It's hard to put words because obviously there's a tragic situation, but I do feel a great sense of satisfaction, maybe, even though, like I say, the word isn't right, but I've some kind of sense of comfort in myself that I can provide something, that I've created something that is really beautiful to look at, but actually holds more than just the physical beauty of the piece,
And what are your biggest influences then, Maura?
Well, I'm doing this primarily. The focus when I wanted to work from home was family. I have 2 children. They're getting a bit older now, but when they were young, I really wanted to be the person at home. Well, we had the discussion and we both wanted a parent at home. And the way my job was going and the way my husband's job was going, it made more sense for me to stay at home. It could easily have gone the other way, but it made more sense for me to stay at home. And that's why we moved to West Cork as well. We were living in the city. I'm from Fermoy originally. Then I lived in the city for 15, nearly 20 years, college and work, and got married and didn't fancy bringing up babies in the city. So we moved west, and like I say, family, I wanted to stay at home, but I'm an independent woman and all that. And I, we've been raised to, do our own thing and equality and all that. And I did feel the lack of my own income. Now, my husband's, his income is our income. Basically, that was the deal for the first, we just get on with it. But not having your own income didn't sit all that well with me, even though I was completely delighted that I had the opportunity to stay at home. And not everybody can do that. And I really appreciated the fact we were in a position to keep me there, But there was an itch. As soon as I saw that video, I was able to scratch the itch and get on with something else. So family really is the biggest influence. I'll work around that. As the girls are getting older, they need me at home much less, or they need a parent at home. So I'm doing more outside of the house, whereas before it was all inside the house. So family is a big thing. But then when it comes to business, I've never done business before. I've always had somebody telling me what to do, and that was kind of great in a certain way. But doing business is completely different. So my influences there are when I look around and I see the women in business group I started with maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We're still a tight group. Great. I get so much support from them. Places like the local enterprise office. I'm in a Facebook group called Bite the Biscuit, which is all about creatives and creatives in business. And support like that is just huge, because that's where I feel the lack in the business knowledge.
Yeah. And speaking about, say, groups and support networks, you won the Businesswoman of the Year in 2021 in the Network Ireland West Cork Awards. Is such an achievement even more important when you are a solopreneur?
Yes, it is. And I think because, like I say, I hadn't come from business, the fact that I won a business award, somebody thought I could do business well enough to give me an award for it. That was unbelievable. And the fact that it was in a creative business, that kind of blew my head, really. I was so made up, really. I was really proud of getting that award. And I knew I had earned it because I put the work in. And I knew from working in FOST, I had seen enough people come in with business ideas and start your own business courses. And I'd read enough in the paper to know that, you know, most businesses fail in the first couple of years. And I knew this product, the life casting particularly, was something very special. And I knew I wanted that as a business and I had to make it work. So I did the courses. I did the Start Your Own Business course. I did loads of training with Leo, coming to Brook Park in Dunmanway to do loads of courses. I had my Women in Business group, which is still a great group. So yeah, winning that award, businesswoman, like.
Very good. Yeah. With cost soaring, how hard is it for small local craft producers?
You know, I think when you're small, it's always hard anyway. When you're small, you don't have the budget to buy bulk stock in and buy loads of whatever materials you need in. So it was always hard, but definitely, I mean, we've had the COVID, we had the Suez Canal, we had Brexit, we were looking like possible recession now. So everything has, I mean, increased in price, everything. Even just putting something in the post, putting a letter in the post has increased in price. So it does make it more difficult. I guess, like in the last 6 months or so, I kind of saw it looking like that a little bit, and I did stock up on a lot of things. I did, but now I know the next time I go to order frames, his prices are going to go up because he's had wood. I mean, wood's gone expensive, silver's gone expensive, plaster, everything, because I get a lot of stuff from building providers. That's all gone up. So
just have to deal with it, I suppose.
You just have to. It's such a fine line, you know, when you're trying to price things, you want to acknowledge the value of your product. You don't want to overprice it and not have any market. You don't want to underprice it and it be undervalued kind of thing. So it's quite hard. And then I'm going to have to look at those prices again soon. And it really, you know, that's the kind of stuff that makes me nervous, because that's the businessy things, you know. That.
And what is your favourite material to work with? So,
do you know, at the moment it is the silver. Because it's just so, like the silver that I use, it's an eco product. It's silver clay and it's made from silver dust that's left over from making medical devices.
Oh, right, okay.
So some clever clog somewhere has figured you can gather all that pure silver dust, put a little bit of binder in it, and you've got this silver clay, which means I can press into it. And it's so flexible, it's so pliable, you can do so much with it. And then you need a jewellery kiln, a little specialist firing kiln to burn off the binder, and you're left with sterling silver then.
Okay.
Because, you know, the memorial stuff, I want jewellery that maybe isn't so obvious, you know. So, you know, you can buy jewellery, you can buy memorial pieces in the shops that are a bit generic, but I didn't want something that's obvious. So I've been making little moulds from leaves, from little twigs, from nice little pieces of wood that I'd find on a walk, just very natural things. So making moulds and casting those then in silver. That's been a bit exciting.
Oh, yeah? It sounds like a bit of a learning curve. Very good. And what would be your dream project?
Do you know what I'd love to do? It would be a big, huge life cast.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest pieces in life cast I do would be a pregnant belly. They're magnificent. And like my children now are nearly 15 and 11, 12, so my work here is done. I'll be clear. But jeepers, a pregnant belly, there's something special about that. And just the miracle of life, you know. I mean, there's a human growing there. It's fascinating. So pregnant bellies, that's the biggest thing that I've done. And with work like that, I need an assistant. So I have a neighbour who helps me out with that. But a big body piece, I'd love to do something like that. Just the challenge of putting it together and mapping it and figuring how you're going to mould and cast the whole body.
So would that take long, do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if I was to do a cast now of a pregnant belly, a live cast, that would take probably 45 minutes to make the mould. Okay. So if you're doing a whole body, it's going to take
a bit of time.
So you want to pay a nice patient model who's used to just sitting still.
Yeah. I could throw myself there out in the
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think anyone wants to see this
finished here.
Exactly, yeah. And many of our previous guests who've been solopreneurs have highlighted the importance of business and support groups, and you've mentioned a few of them. So how important are they to you?
To me, they're absolutely vital because I know myself, I'm such a procrastinator and I will overthink things, and it would be so easy for me to put things off and, tomorrow I'll do that, or I'll think about that. Like, Scarlett O'Hara, I won't think about it today. I'll think about it tomorrow. But without those groups and without someone to be accountable to, I wouldn't be doing it. Yeah. I'd be at home pootling away, happy out making things, but not making a business, Yeah. So they're vital. Accountability is a huge thing. Focus and support. And the skills, learning skills is a big thing. Learning how to do a business plan, learning how to price your work, learning how to market your work. Oh my God, marketing, like break out in a sweat, thinking of things like that. But then I look back and I go, well, from where I started to where I am, I've done a lot of work. I've put a lot of time in. I've learnt a lot. I mean, I know a lot. Yeah, I just don't always believe it.
Yeah, like looking at your Instagram and your website, I would have thought that you had a very good background in business.
That's fantastic.
But to be fair, when you're saying this about being in business, I'm like, really? It doesn't come across at all that you're, like that from your website, which is a good thing,
Which is good. And you know what? I know at the very start there was a definite element of fake it till you make it. I was like, right, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to act like I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to act like I know what's what. And maybe someday I will. Right. And I'm kind of getting there.
I think you're doing well.
But do you know what? I think that's a creative brain thing as well. And I know from that Bite the Biscuit Facebook group, I mean, the creatives are obviously creative, but you could find them so easily cowering in a corner, crying because, what if it's not good enough? And you're basically producing a baby to pass on. And what if somebody rejects your baby and says, no, I don't like that? I mean, it's such a vulnerable space in many ways. So that would be a common enough theme in anything creative, that lack of faith in self sometimes.
One of our guests there, Maura O'Connell, she actually said something very similar. She said, you have to just say yes and then think about the afterwards,
yes.
Just, feel the fear and just do it.
And do it, yeah. Richard Branson has a great one. I don't know the exact quote, but basically saying that, if someone asks you to do a job that you would love to do, but you've no idea how to do it, say yes and then learn how to do it.
Exactly.
Yep, that's what I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah. And what do you think are your biggest challenges?
Myself, really. My own head. If I could get out of my own way, jeepers, I'd have won this award 4 years ago. I know. But things like that, it is changing, definitely, because recently my husband, he heard this interview on the radio and he came out, listen to Bobby Kerr. He interviewed somebody in a podcast, listen to that. So I went and listened, and he had interviewed this guy, Bob Hamilton from Irish Earns, and how Bob started his business. And, if it was a year ago, I'd have thought, God, it'd be nice now to get in touch with Bob and tell him what I do. But, maybe he's busy and he's got his own stuff and blah. Whereas this time I heard the interview and I thought, hang on, my silver jewellery could be a good match with what Bob's doing. So I sent him an email, and the next thing you know, he's interested in me designing pieces just for his website. And it's like, hang on, I did that. Yeah,
if you have to put yourself out there.
You have to push a little bit. Definitely.
But do you think it's a thing that you're getting better as you're getting a bit older? Not older, but
Well, yes. And definitely with age comes that kind of bit of maturity and also the realisation that, we're not dealing with incubated babies. It's all fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all grand. And that comes with a bit of age and a bit of maturity and I guess from a bit of experience in doing the work that I'm doing.
And you're in a very competitive space. Do you feel there's a pressure to innovate constantly in terms of what you offer?
I don't think my space is that competitive, to be honest, because it's so unique. I know there's other people out there doing casting and, you can get baby casts done. Not that there's millions of them out there, but there's a small handful, but it's not huge. It's not a saturated market, certainly. But then again, it's not a kind of a market where there's lots of business anyway, It is quite niche. And because of that, I kind of deliberately set myself up as being the artist about it, you know what I mean? Rather, because sometimes, and no disrespect to anyone with a business, but some of this, particularly the baby casting ones, it's kind of a kit business.
Yeah.
You buy your stuff, you do, you know, whereas mine is a little bit more personal, and it's a broader range of business. It's what will I say? There's more artistic input, there's more creative input. So I think my niche is safe enough in a way, but I still have to kind of mind and protect that.
Yeah.
And I have to work on it as well, because obviously if I'm not marketing in some way, people don't know I exist. They don't know the products exist. They're not going to come looking for them. So I have to keep tapping away at it.
And I suppose, like as you were saying there earlier about COVID, you launched into the whole jewellery making as a result of COVID,
yes.
was it? Yeah. So you kind of brought in that whole new side to your business.
I did, yeah. I mean, the whole thing at the time was pivot, wasn't it? Pivot. That was the term at the time. So I pivoted my business. And do you know what? I'm joking, like, but I find those business terms sometimes that's a bit off-putting. So I was able to, and I had the fingerprint was in the back of my head. I'd seen it before, and I knew. Same ballpark, same feelings, same emotions, all family and connections. And obviously it was a perfect opportunity to break out the silver and start learning.
So you made the most of the opportunity.
I made the most of that, yeah. So I suppose there was a bit of innovation there. And because of that, the requests came for something else. Could you do this? What about that? So I guess because of customer requests, they forced me to be a bit innovative as well and come up with something new.
So do you find that happens, that people, like clients, give you ideas or inspirations? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I had one customer a few months ago, and there's 6 of them in the family. And she wanted something with their fingerprints that wasn't jewellery. Oh my God, sure. Richard Branson was on my shoulder. Yeah, absolutely, I'll do that for you, no problem, leave it with me. And I panicked for about 2 weeks. Thought, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do here? But I came up with an idea.
Good.
And she loved it.
Great.
And the family loved it. And I'm like going, oh, actually, that's a whole new product now. I can start selling that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Out of the most difficult challenges comes great opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And what are your plans going forward, so Maura?
I think going forward, I'd like to focus a little bit more on the memorial stuff. It's very, very special. I'm nervous about it. I'll be honest, I am nervous because it's memorial, and I don't want to be going out, with my bell clanging, I'm nervous about that, but I know the amount of comfort it can bring. I know how it can help people with the whole healing process after a loss, and I know just the very fact of having something tangible in your hand is very, very valuable. So I'll get over myself, and I'll get out there and offer that a little bit more. I will talk more with some of the hospices.
Okay, yeah.
Like I had a very, very special job recently where a lady around my own age has terminal cancer.
Gosh, yeah.
And I did, a family group for them, and it was just so special. It was so special. We tried to make a little fun event of it, and the kids gathered round and everyone held hands, and we got a beautiful piece.
Lovely.
And just the fact that they will be able to hold their mom's hand.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why I'm nervous about trying to market or advertise stuff like that. And I don't think I probably don't need to. Probably stories will get told and people will hear and it will come around.
If it happens to 1 or 2 people and they share their experience, it's amazing how these things spread,
Yeah, that's it. I had a beautiful job a few years ago. This girl, Avril, she's living in Florida, but she's from Turner's Cross in the city.
Okay.
And so she's home on holidays every so often, and great relationship with her mom. So we cast their hands together, I'd say about 3 years ago.
Oh, lovely.
So Avril's hand was down and her mom's hand was on top. So when she went back to America, she was able to rub her mom's hand. And she used to send me messages everywhere. Oh, such a comfort. Any time I feel lonely from my mom. And I had a message from her about 3 months ago to say she was on her way back to Ireland because her mom was dying.
Oh my God.
Just before she got on the plane, while she was at home, she was able to rub her hand because she had the cast, and just the fact, it gave her a lot of comfort.
Yeah.
It gave her a lot of comfort to be able to do that.
That's a great thing to be able to give someone.
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give to yourself if you were starting out again?
I would tell myself to go easy. You're grand. You'll be fine. Slow and steady really does win the race. It really does. Like I said, I'm great for procrastination, and I'm great for beating myself up as well. Like that, oh, I should be doing this. I should have more customers. I should have more blah, blah, blah. And then I look back and go, do you know what? The priority, like I say, was family. So I've been working around that. I'm working part-time. I built a business. I learned new skills, loads of new skills, like creative skills and business skills. And I would say, take it easy. You're doing fine. Slow and steady will win the race.
Brilliant note to finish on. Thanks so much, Maura, for joining us on the Cork Creative Podcast. If you'd like to find out more about Maura and her work, you can find links to her social media and website on corkcreative.ie.